What's up, everybody? Welcome to a Juice Opinions. Remember those? Um, yeah, I haven't heard from T, and I was just chatting with Robert a little bit ago in the chat. So I don't know when he's gonna show up. Sandstorm might be back. He was on last week. If you checked out last week's podcast, so I'm just going to talk. Um, I am almost 21 hours in Xenoblade Chronicles 3. The game is great. It is already, I think, already safe to say, the best story in a Xenoblade Chronicles game. What's up, hey? Um, I mean, not really just the overarching story, because I still love Xenoblade Chronicles X's story, the alien invasion, and they basically take these ships that are cities and look for another planet, and the one crash lands and you're the last survivors of human race on an alien planet. I still think, generally speaking, that's like the coolest story, and then exploring the alien world. But as far as like character development and just really mature storytelling, I think Xenoblade Chronicles 3 by far and away surpasses 1 and 2, and X from that standpoint. 2 is the closest as far as like just can't wait for the next cutscene. I really enjoyed the characters, but it was almost kind of ridiculous at times, but it was funny. 3 is just way more serious. Retro, don't worry, I'm not getting into any details whatsoever. It's just way more mature, reserved, serious. You don't have 2D anime looking characters mixed with 3D CG. Yeah, it's not about having less waifus. It's about having less anime tropes, less waking up with boobs in Rex's face type stuff. That's fun and all, but just 20 hours into 3, it's like, yeah, there's none of that. There's none of the Shulk. What do you mean? What does that mean? What are you saying? Like, dumb, I can't figure out what's happening. It's so obvious what's happening moments. You know, the main characters. Yeah, less reliance on TNA. And just, I mean, not that Xenoblade Chronicles 2 just relied on that. It still had some fun moments and stuff. But, what's up, T?
What up?
I was just doing a juice opinions. You're a little quiet. Is your mic? Is it
Yeah,
the,
yeah. My mic is over here. Hold on.
yeah, so I was just saying how three's storyline is just so much more mature, just so much better written, more interesting characters. Noah and Mio are just like my ideal character types. The stoic, reserved, not they like to listen and think before they talk. They're not just shouting and being ridiculous and being stupid. So I would have to say, like, as much as I love having Uni as my main character, I still I don't think she's top 3 like for my favorite characters as far as their actor characteristics. I think it's Mio 1, Noah 2, and then a character called Ethel you'll meet not too far into the game. She kind of has similar characteristics. I just gravitate more towards those types of characters than the I don't like the arrogant, like cocky characters. I don't like the can't figure out what's going on, always have to ask stupid question characters. I don't mind the comedic relief types, but they're just like side characters for me. So
You
it's
don't like
just
the arrogant, cocky characters? No way.
no,
Never heard you say that before.
especially when their name is Galadriel in Rings of Power.
Oh, jeez.
Um, yeah, so I don't want to get into any spoilers with that, but I'll just say the 4th episode needs to do something for me to like keep watching. I'll be canceling my Amazon Prime once I finish The Boys season 3 if episode 4 Rings of Power doesn't tickle my fancy.
I haven't seen it yet.
it's just have you seen the Shannara Chronicles back when
I
MTV?
haven't. I have not. My bestie, he's a big Shannara fan.
It's
What's
a
his name?
good
Terry
show.
Brooks. Terry
Who?
Brooks is the writer.
I don't.
I think it's. I think the writer of the Shannara books is Terry Brooks.
The movie or the
If I'm
books?
not
You mean?
mistaken. The books that
Yeah.
the stuff
It's
is based on.
it's an entertaining fantasy series that was on MTV the first season, then Spike TV did season 2, then it got canceled. Didn't have the biggest budget, but still had some nice visual effects for considering it was MTV and not a major network. Had some really cool lore. They actually had the guy who plays Gimli play like the king. Um, Took itself a little too seriously at times, but that show honestly is way more interesting after 3 episodes. That show is above Rings of Power, and people say it's not fair to criticize Rings of Power just because it costs so much and it's you can't just give it a negative because it was the biggest, most expensive show of all time. Well, yeah, I can when a show that's like a tenth the budget is actually a better show, more interesting, more entertaining.
Characters matter.
Like it's that show it perfectly it's like a perfect not perfect but it's a great way to judge a show. Like I'm looking at that show like for considering the budget, considering the network that doesn't do shows like that it first aired on, and Spike TV same thing. That show was like punching above its weight. That show was way better than it had any right to be. I'm not saying it's amazing, but I didn't expect that show to be as good as it was. And then when you have $260 million into 8 episodes or whatever it is, you figured they hired the best talent. You're talking Tolkien. You would just assume and expect it to be really well made, really well written, and have great actors and great characters. So I mean, it is completely fair to judge it based on its.
They spend all the money on the graphics because that's what everybody's into.
But there's still
these days
scenes that look fake as shit. Like there's scene on a scene sailing on the ocean with a character that's I don't want to say his name because I know Retrodesk's watching. It's it's just such an obvious character being the show, but it's like they're sailing on the ocean, and I'm like, that's a Marvel level green screen right there. Like that does not look any better than an average show. Maybe they're saving that budget goes towards a big battle or something, like the first episode had it, but it's like it's just not that interesting. Everybody says the same thing. It's just kind of boring. It's just there's no characters to like gravitate towards. There's no one you're rooting for. It's just it's not just, oh my god, he doesn't like it because there's a strong female character. There's that narrative people are trying to spin, and it's honestly Amazon.
I'm all about strong female characters.
Amazon loves that people are, because now you criticize it, now you're racist or you're a woman hater.
That's just lazy defense force.
Exactly. Like there's legit flaws in the show. It's you compare it to House of the Dragon, it's not even close. Like as far as like interesting characters and the way the stories. I don't love that House of the Dragon is like speeding through, skipping like years and months between episodes without even talking about what happened previously. So
yeah, they'll have a little line saying, "Oh, it's been months since you blah blah blah," that kind of thing.
Yeah,
that's not good enough.
But then the George R. R. Martin fanboys got on me on a comment I made on a reaction. I was like, this just feels like it's just kind of rushing towards something, and I'm like, why didn't we just start? Oh well, you haven't read the books. They got to set this up, otherwise the main story, which there's most of the characters aren't even born yet, starts happening. I'm like, well, why aren't
there's books to House of the Dragon?
It's based upon a appendices and like a history of the Targaryens that George
It's
Martin.
not. It's like basing a show on, I don't know.
That's what Rings of Power is doing.
The Silmarillion or something. It's like basing a show on the Silmarillion. Like there's stuff there. That's not enough for a show. They still have to write interesting characters and
which they are
things. Yeah, they are.
It's just weird to me that
but there's no defending. There's where's your defense coming from? You haven't read the books either because it's not There's not a lot there. There's not stuff from the show. There's a lot of stuff in the show that's not there in the appendices. Give me a break. So you can criticize things. There's too many fanboys today. I don't know. I don't know if it's just the product of social media.
That's a big part of it.
That there are always this many fanboys. I don't think so. I think there's just way too many tribes and fanboys covering for shit all the time. It's ridiculous.
It is. And like somebody said, Lenny, I love strong female characters, but I don't like bad writing. It's simple.
Right.
We talked about this. I tried to explain to Robert about the She-Hulk. Now,
oh no! Don't tell me you like She-Hulk.
It doesn't.
Stop.
No, I don't. But I'm just saying I haven't watched it.
I'm talking about him.
No, I was trying to explain to him the difference between good character development and not, because I know, Robert. He for better or worse, he's kind of he's less critical than most people, and he enjoys more things. And I just pointed out the flaws with having, like, I think you were here what I was saying, like, blatantly saying a character is so good and does everything right at the beginning. That's your introduction to the character, and then trying to have them be like at the end of the episode, like complaining about having it rough and this and that. It's like that's just bad writing. You show them having it rough and overcoming it. You don't just say they're amazing and then at the end of the episode be like, oh man, it's so hard being a woman. Like, show it being hard. Don't show her being her ass kissed for how great she is, and then try to say that she's had it rough. Like, that just doesn't work.
That was one of the first lessons in my screenwriting class. Show, don't tell. Okay, show, don't tell.
What was I just watching?
Think about I think one of the biggest examples that people kind of go to because the movies are not very good is the prequels. There's that scene where they're in the elevator, Obi-Wan and
and they tell us about all
they're talking about all these adventures and shit, and I'm like, can we see that? Like, I would have rather seen that than the opening of that movie. Like, that would have showed us that, he was a good friend.
Mm-hmm.
Like he said in the
don't tell us he was a good friend. Show us their friendship.
Well, it was fine for Obi-Wan to say that in A New Hope, because obviously him and Darth Vader aren't friends anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But we were expecting to see that with the prequels. That's what the prequels are supposed to be setting up, is that, he was a good friend. All right, let me see Anakin and Obi-Wan being good friends. No. We never saw that.
That's why they made the Clone Wars, just to try to show you something.
Exactly. I was going to say that.
God, I was just watching something like in the last 2 to 3 weeks, and I was like, I thought of Robert, because I know I'm picking on Robert. He'll be here at some point, I think. I know he just likes the entertainment value for the most part, but he also likes weird indie films. So he's not just about the fluff and the superficial stuff. He does appreciate good characters and stuff. But I was watching something.
Is anybody else coming?
I think Robert should be here. I don't know why he isn't here yet. I was watching a movie and I'm like,
we got some stuff to talk about here today.
I don't think it was the Batman, because no, it wasn't. It was something I was watching. I was like, man, that character, so much is being said on that character's face without saying anything. And it's like, that can work almost. I mean, I'd rather have just see the look in their face and be like, man, they went through some shit, than say that they went through either a narrator, another character, or them just blatantly saying, yeah, I've been through this. Like,
well, here's you brought up the Batman. Here's a character moment in the Batman where it's just like, just through action, small little subtle action, you get a insight to the character.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not a spoiler or anything. There's a sequence where I think Batman is he's putting like the camera shit or whatever on. He's giving her the eyes, the camera eye shit for and she says something about you don't care about me.
You don't care what happens to me, do you?
And he's just kind of staring there. He's just kind of staring at her. So you think he's listening to her, and it's starting to feel bad, but he's like, all he's really doing is testing the fucking equipment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, that's how brutal and lethal Batman is. He doesn't give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
He just wants what he wants.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is a awesome little subtle thing. You can miss it, but if you catch it, he's like, oh, this dude is He's psychotic.
Exactly. So yeah, we're gonna be talking movies until Robert gets here. Then we'll stop.
Yeah.
I will say, I finally started season 3 of The Boys, and it's my favorite season. I know
Mm-hmm.
people have been like
Mm-hmm.
downplaying it for some reason, saying it was okay. I've heard multiple. Yeah, it's okay. It was decent. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Nah, that's the
This
best
is
season, bro.
this is amazing. Like holy shit. Like
Outside of like the shock of
yeah,
the
some
first
of the
season,
yeah
because
the
it was just shock. Like,
mm-hmm.
what the hell is this show? Outside of that kind of impact, it's the best season by far.
Yeah, it's so good, and it just sucks that there's not more good TV, and that Amazon has
Mm.
shows like that and The Expanse, which they kind of botched, if I'm being honest. I mean, season 5, in retrospect, is a really great season.
Yeah.
But the short change in the final season, and
You know what? It's better than most. I mean, I want to complain about it, but I'm like, it could have been way
yeah.
worse. You
But like
know?
Eris said, 3 episodes of Wheel of Time, and he was thinking Rings of Power is doomed. And yeah, I don't know. I don't see what they spent the money on other than some of the opening episodes CG. There's some nice visuals and stuff. Lots of sets, practical places, but lots of green screen stuff too.
Right.
And no big name actors to pay, so I honestly
Nope.
don't know. I guess the creator's big name, he's Boyea, but what's his name? I'm saying it wrong. He directed shit. What was that movie? Kind of had
Well,
mixed
I'm thinking.
reception. They gave him a big property. It was Marvel or somebody,
Mm,
and I forget he.
got me.
And it was kind of mixed. It received mixed reviews, but anyway, he directed the first 2 episodes. He was like, sometimes shows will do that where a big name director will direct the first few,
Mm-hmm.
and then they pass it on.
They didn't give him that much money though.
No, but like, he was definitely the started the series like some.
Kind of the
What was
catalyst.
that show where they had like Ridley Scott directed the first episode?
Oh, no, no.
There was one, I swear Ridley Scott directed the first, or somebody of that caliber directed the first episode. Like holy crap! And then after that, it was just the usual TV directors that
They
people
settled
get.
into I don't know.
But anyway, J.A. Bayona.
Oh,
Yeah, Bayona.
Bayona.
Sorry if I
Yeah.
can't read.
Okay.
What did he
Bayona,
direct
yeah.
that? Oh, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. That's the one. Because he
Yeah,
came
it's
from like a
trash.
horror film.
It was trash. But is it really his fault that was trash? But,
No, I'm just saying like they had it. He
no, I'm
was
just
the only
saying in
biggest name.
general to people.
Yeah.
Is that really his fault?
Let's see.
What else is he gonna do?
Muhammad. Aren't the kids in Xeno 3 10 years old? Not really. I mean, technically, but they don't behave like 10-year-olds. By the time they're 10th year, they're adults. But they're not like old. They're like, I would guess, late teens. But really good characters. So, we got Nintendo Direct.
I was gonna say we're gonna have a direct predictions podcast here, and nobody's here.
Yeah, and they said through winter, so that could mean until April next year. And they always go beyond that.
And it says focusing.
Yeah, they always go beyond that. So
when they say focusing, you can add it.
I'm gonna wait till we see if maybe Robert Sandstorm said he might be able to jump in a little bit later. Before I ask the main question about that, what else? 343 guy stepped down, said it was for some family reasons or something. But
man, they tripping.
Just fucking step down, dude. Like I would. We had a head guy at my place leave, like, and then he gave all these reasons, but it turned out like later on we figured out that they wanted him to like cover Michigan and Louisville, and he would have had to constantly been driving and stuff. And it's like he just kind of made it like, yeah, just kind of, I'm gonna retire for a couple years and then go after my passion. And like, oh, why don't you just tell us that they changed your job and you didn't want to do what they wanted you to do? Like, why did you act like you were just like
you wanted to be nice?
Yeah. Oh, a state of play is the same day too. I forgot about that. I'm not I mean, it didn't specifically say God of War State of Play, did it? So I don't expect Sony to have like anything like surprise announcements. I mean, at this point, I think God of War is their last game for the year. Um, but anyway,
Did they make Stray?
no, it was an indie. I forget who
I
made
was
it.
gonna say because well,
Isn't that?
they they got some production credit. That's for sure. I just beat it, and I'm like Sony this and Sony that was at
Hmm.
the in the credits. So
Not
I'm
that
like,
I knew of. I wanted to play the game, but I watched some Let's Plays. I'm like, yeah, I mean, it looks cool. I just don't know
it
if.
has really cool moments, and then it's very, I'll say, unsatisfying ending. uh,
But I picked up Dark Souls. I put like 4 hours in, and I last time I played, I beat the second boss, and so I went to uh the following area, and first try, I haven't played it in like weeks. I lasted probably an hour without dying. Like I'm taking out these kind of like stone guys with pickaxes. I had a bunch of health from my previous session, and I made it really far, and then I died, and I was like, damn it, I need to get back there. And I like faced like the first little air, two first guys. One guy hit me. Somehow I never got hit by one of those guys. It takes 3/4 of my health, and I go to hit him again, and didn't interrupt his swing. It's one of those unbreakable animations, and I died like right away. I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? I lost all my souls." And so I went back and I like was farming some health stuff, and I was like, "Oh, let me level up." Um, so I leveled up twice. I spent like an hour doing that. Leveled up twice, upgraded my sword to do more damage, and found some better gear. And I just kept dying at those first two just generic enemies over and over. I'm like, what is going on? Or I take the hit, and then I just go right back to my little. You go back and reload the area, and it fills your health up. Basically, and all the enemies respawn. I said, no, I'm just gonna run past these guys. And there's like these mine carts that if you get too close explode. I'm trying being super cautious, and I just finally realized I could just run past them no problem. And then there's like this big dude with a whip that throws fireballs. I died to him like 3-4 times, and then I figured out how to beat him, and I was farming health things from him because he dropped one or two each time. And I'm like 2 hours later, my first like pick up the game. I haven't played it in weeks. Made it almost probably 45 minutes without dying, and now here I am just struggling in just the very first little area. And then I finally got that figured out, and then I got to the boss, and he's like, the one thing I don't like about this game compared to like Bloodborne. So if you start out, you're human. You die, you go into this realm, and you come back as a soul, and you have half your health. You can't go beyond half your health until you get your humanity back. And there's only two ways to get your humanity back. Use a rare stone item that you pick up, or you beat the next boss. So you have to beat the next boss with 50. Well, there is a perk or a ring that you put on that bumps that up to 75% of your health. So you have to beat all these bosses with 75% of the health. You have your humanity for however long after that boss. You get killed, you go right back doing the same thing. I'm like, that's a really dumb and unnecessary punishment to dying in the game when everything else about the game is so hard. Like, it's just crazy to me. But it is, I do enjoy it. For some reason, those games just click with me. I was watching someone stream Bloodborne. She had already played it, but I was just like, man, that game just really worked for me. And, clocked it, accused me of being over leveled when I wasn't like trying. And I found the game not easy, but easier than people said. And
why is that a knock? If it's something you can do in the game, you're not like
and it's,
glitching.
yeah, I was farming blood vials because you lose your currency when you die, and you only get one per like every 20 enemies you kill. But fighting an enemy could mean you have to use two blood vials after you fight the enemy, so you might be break even, you might end up with one. So I just went back to the starting area and did 2 runs of that without dying, and I had like 20 blood vials. Well, I didn't realize you also get your souls, but they don't give you that, man. Like the early enemies don't give you a bunch of souls. The higher up you get, the less those early enemies give you, and how it takes longer. But I just leveled up a few, maybe 2, 3 times, and then got back to the boss I was struggling with, and then after that I was just kind of rolling. So I wasn't going out of my way. I didn't spend like half a day just leveling up and doing nothing. I was just playing the game and exploring. So
So much fucking gatekeeping in video games, man. It's like, shut up and let people play how they want to fucking play.
and of course
Annoying.
the Elden Ring took it to the next level. Now you got the guys. Oh, you played with what are they called? Your spirits. You can summon a spirit. It can be 3 wolves. It can be this squid creature, or it can be a mimic of yourself, whatever build you have. And it's like basically calling for help from an AI character. Distracts the bosses. It does damage. Like that's basically your difficulty setting. It isn't actually a difficulty setting, but that's the guy's like, oh, well, I'm not gonna fight this boss with a spirit. Like that's some negative. Like I ain't gonna do that. Well, then don't challenge yourself. That's fine, but it isn't a negative to utilize this feature in the game. It's like
The
it's
game
like
lets you do it.
it's like
You
playing
know, it's
Ocarina of Time and not using like the magical attacks and stuff. Like, oh, I'm gonna kill him with the slingshot only boss fight or something. Yeah, challenge yourself however you want, but
what did
don't
we make fun of Robert for recently about not doing in a game?
Epona.
Oh yeah, well that's
Was it that or
yeah, but
something else?
I think it was probably Epona. I thought it was something different, but never mind.
Well, he didn't bang a certain character in Mass Effect either, so
Oh really?
I don't
I
know who.
didn't get to see his
Clocked
backlog
it
on
was
that
a
one
little
yet.
upset with him. But yeah, so
What is he doing in these games?
oh, so the state of play is 20 minutes covering 10 upcoming games. Yeah, I
So
mean,
no VR, no.
20 minutes for 10 games, that's not telling me much. That's going to be like some trailers for half those games are just going to be fucking trailers. I'd love to know more about Resident Evil 4 since it comes out.
To
Eh,
2 minutes a game. Well,
yeah, that would be 2 minutes
and
a
you're not
game.
gonna get that because there's gonna be introduction and blah blah
And those
bullshit.
those scenes where they show like the symbols
Right.
in the blue. I think God of War is gonna get its own. They really don't have to show anything in this. God of War. They've done individual state of plays for every major game. Other maybe not Returnal though.
What time? When is God of War coming?
November 9th, I believe. So by the
I
time I
haven't seen the
finish,
market push yet for it. I guess they're waiting until closer.
Xenoblade Chronicles 3, that'll be coming out because I am putting quite a bit of time in, and I'm loving it, man. I can't stop thinking about it. Like it's uh it's different enough in the combat where I still kind of getting a grasp 20 hours in. Still trying to get a feel for things. But just when I'm not playing it, I'm thinking about it. Now, that didn't happen at all with Xenoblade Chronicles when I just played that. And I put in, probably because I played it every single day for like 3 to 4 hours just trying to get through it. Not once was like, man, I can't wait to get home and start playing Xenoblade again. Even with Horizon, I didn't think about it much at work, but when I got home, turned it on, I was in love with the world, and I'd play it for a couple 2, 3, 4 hours at a time. But when I was away from it, I wasn't thinking about it. So
Right.
that's like the next like
Wasn't like
step.
Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, that's like that like in Elden Ring, I thought about that all the time when I wasn't playing it. So that's kind of a nice for me a nice gauge to know like how I'm really feeling about a game is if when I'm not playing and I'm like, damn, I wish I was playing that right now. So it's really good and the only thing gonna hurt it from winning best RPG is if they count Elden Ring as an RPG, then Xenoblade Chronicles 3 doesn't stand a chance unless they throw it a bone and give it best RPGs, and then Elden Ring just gets Game of the Year. I think it should definitely at even 20 hours in. I think it's a better RPG than Elden Ring without a doubt because Elden Ring doesn't feel like an RPG to me. Let's see. Um, Trying to think of any like news. I haven't been really checking too much. I just been playing a shit ton of Xenoblade, watching football, and watching TV shows. So I haven't really been following too much gaming news. Which is why I don't do Juice Opinions anymore because I
Well,
just don't have time.
most of the news has been rumors about what's going to be at the
See,
direct. So
I haven't even checked Twitter at all, so I don't know.
it's been a disaster. it's been it's been ridiculous. It's the same old bullshit. Um,
Well,
it's
here
everybody. It's just guesses. Like,
here's the thing we can
why
talk
is
about.
guesses news?
So I saw the announcement of the direct, and in the group chat, and I made a joke about, is this the leaked date or is this the leaked delayed to the original date direct?
Oh, that nonsense.
And I won't say who it was, but somebody got a little annoyed. Can't you just be happy for the direct instead of always bringing up these leakers and calling them out? I can't help it, man. I'm so sick of it. Like Clocked It said, no one, none of these leakers called Dread. Well, some people, I guess, technically said like months in advance they're working on an HD, 2D
Okay.
HD Metroid.
Well, here's the thing.
No one knew it was Metroid Dread though.
Every year we've had a direct in September. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not like that's the one thing that you can say because there's not much you can point to at Nintendo and say, "Oh, this is a pattern." But
That's a
that's been a
pattern.
pattern. That's been a pattern. So
4 years in a row.
please, yeah, 4 straight years. So come on.
But people were like, "Oh, is the direct's coming?" I think last week, and they're like, "Oh, the Queen died, so they're pushing it. They're delaying it." So now
Like
it's
what? What does that have to do with anything?
I don't fucking know. So it just I find it humorous. I find it interesting. I find it fun to bitch about. I just can't stand. And thankfully the Switch Pro stuff died down. I remember that dude. I think you and I were maybe Robert.
Did
I
it?
think
Did it die?
a bit, quite a bit. But Robert, I think it was Robert and I. There was a dude on Twitter, like something about the greatest something was his name, the goat, and he was so convinced that the Switch Pro was 4K, this and that because of this. He named this leaker. Oh, they've been right about this, this, and this, and I trust them more than I trust just you. And I'm like, dude, I'm looking at this logically. There's not going to be a Switch Pro, and and then when it was announced to be the OLED, I looked up his name. It was like a month later. I said, bro, well, there's still a chance, there's still a chance for this holiday season. After that, then I got to start questioning it, and I let him off. I didn't bother him again about it. All right, so we got quite a few things in the chat just popping up real quick. So,
Wizard said something really funny.
well, let's go to Lenny. I'm going to laugh my
Yeah, yeah.
ass off if a Zelda double pack is not announced for this year. Wind Waker, Twilight Princess. I hope it doesn't. Those will be the inferior version. Well, Wind Waker will be definitely the inferior version to the Wii U game. Matthew, direct rumors are always the same. It's going to be the greatest direct ever. Often pretty disappointing as of late. I mean, disappointing if you're expecting like amazing announcements, decent shows just in general, especially if you love RPGs. They're the last like 4 or 5 have been really solid if you're just like love RPGs and stuff. But I find I don't want to see that it's 40 minutes because that tells me 10 to 15 minutes of usually, and I'm not saying guaranteed for tomorrow, but 10 to 15 minutes of your DC Supergirls or whatever, your
You didn't
your
like that game?
Disney whatever princess shit, your card battle game, just games that to me are padding. And yeah, there's an audience for those games and stuff, but if you're going to do a direct, I feel like I'd rather have it be 20 minutes of the best stuff than 40 minutes with 20 minutes of, well, for me personally, filler stuff. Like, I don't need to see a detailed announcement for the next Witcher
Well,
type old port coming to Switch type
you
of
will
stuff.
though. There's gonna
What
be
was
at
the
least one
last
of
one?
those.
Oh, it was Near. They didn't spend a lot of time on it, but I figured there was going to be another
No Man's Sky. Oh, that
No
was
Man's
before.
Sky, Near, that type of old 8th gen port. Like cool, but and those are usually quicker
Well,
trailers.
there's gonna be It's Bayonetta 3 is going to be
Mm-hmm.
there. Pokemon's going to be there,
Well,
and I don't know. I think it's still going to show up,
they just
and
showed Pokemon, so we'll see.
we'll
They're
see.
gonna remind people of Splatoon 3. Possibly they're gonna bring up the DLC for Mario Golf or not golf.
And my
Mario
my goatee, which is Mario plus Rabbids, sparks the
Nintendo
hope.
Switch ports golf probably get, hey, this is coming releasing today type of thing.
Here's a new character, and Strikers, a new Strikers character.
Mm-hmm.
You saw? Oh, who was that said something about no Smash? What was that? I saw somebody say something. No 10 minutes on Smash characters or
Yeah.
something. Matthew Shea.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, there's other games now where you can have a reveal for one being
Definitely.
Strikers.
I remember a few people in this group who were thinking like the Mario Kart 8 DLC announcements were gonna come as part of like their E3 direct and be kind of like the Smash character. No, they just put out a video like a week before, like that. I didn't ever think they were gonna try to treat that like a Smash character because it's just old tracks or some new track from tour. It's not like it's not they're not gonna try to hype that up like a Smash character announcement. There's nothing can come close to that. So I'm glad Nintendo didn't try that, but I feel I can't. I was a little surprised people thought that would kind of be the thing they would do. No, those are just going to be YouTube channel upload out of the blue. Here's your next wave of DLC. Um, but that's, I guess, Robert's not here. We're 7:40. Let me just ask you, T. They said through winter, focusing on up until winter. So that's clear into the first 3-4 months of next year. If they don't even show anything on Breath of the Wild sequel, does that confirm to you November 2023 release date, or do you still think there's a chance of it being June, May, June-ish?
It doesn't confirm it because they're gonna have a fucking direct just for that game. So
I feel like if it's coming out by March, this is the direct to at least reveal the name.
It might be still too early.
No.
For what Nintendo want? To me, it doesn't matter. I don't think it matters to the rest of the industry. I don't know why they're trying to hide the goddamn name at this point still.
Because that would be a big point in this direct if they announce the name of the sequel and people can quit calling it the sequel.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
To me personally, if it's not in the direct tomorrow, I'll bet anybody that game's not coming out till November 2023. Like, just like I did with Retro and Mario Kart 9, he's gonna have to buy me that game someday, like 3-4 years from now. I will make the same bet. There's no way if they don't show it tomorrow, I see that game coming out, and it's Zelda, so it's gonna be their November game. That's just the way it's gonna be. That's how I feel.
Zelda hasn't always been November.
No, they did like Skyward Sword in the summer, which didn't exactly pan out. I think that was May.
It was on a Wii late in 2011.
Breath of the Wild obviously was March. I think if it comes out in March, I think they show it. That's just that's how I feel.
I don't know.
I mean, why wait?
I don't know.
I mean,
Nintendo
what's the benefit of waiting though at this point?
What's the benefit of waiting all this time? We're not putting the name out there.
Well,
everybody's still calling it Breath of the Wild.
I feel like they just didn't have any kind of release date. They didn't want to lock into something. So I feel like if they know, hey, this game's gonna be done in March, I think they're going to announce a name and tell us that tomorrow. That's just how I feel.
I just don't put any arbitrary rules on Nintendo. I don't.
No, I'm not. But that to me, that's my gut feeling.
Okay.
I've still been thinking.
That's fair. I mean,
I've been thinking November 2023 ever since they pushed it into the next year.
I mean, we're only halfway through the Switch's life cycle, so that wouldn't be crazy.
And
people laugh about that, but that's what they said.
Yeah, it's just.
What was that, January? They said that.
Pretty much.
January of this year, we're halfway through.
And I talked about this last week, and I think Clacked was Clacked here last week, yeah, pretty sure he was.
Yeah.
And I know he hates talking about this stuff, but as much as I mean, I love Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I mean, without a doubt, it's already game of the year contender with Elden Ring. There's unless it goes vastly downhill at some point, like it's going to be a contender. But man, when I go from portable play while I was watching football to putting it on the TV, man, that's it's giving the Switch more than it can handle. It's hard for me personally to appreciate all this amazing scope and scale when, like, I feel like my eyes, like I need to put glasses on at times. It's just it's just a shame because I know that Monolith Soft did excellent work. They did everything they could to get it looking as good because there's 8 characters on screen. You got 3 giant freaking Ouroboros characters at any given moment. You got effects. You got big enemies you're facing, and you can just turn the camera freely, and it rarely stutters. So I mean, there's a lot going on. I feel like if you were just 3 characters and that's it, I feel like it would definitely look way cleaner, way sharper.
Yeah.
But I feel like, you know, I don't think there's
So
anything.
you know what? You're not alone. I think there's just a lot of Nintendo fans are afraid to say things like this because they're afraid of getting their heads jumped on by other Nintendo fans. But I was listening to, I think it was Nintendo Voice Chat, and they were saying the exact same thing. It's like, man, I wonder what Xenoblade. I mean, the art in this game is so great, the worlds are
Well, I've
great.
already seen it. It's already on.
I wonder what it would look like
It's already
when
on
with more power.
Yuzu 4K 60, and
Yeah.
it looks easily could be convinced people it's a PS4 game. You know, not or PS4 Pro because it looks really sharp. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't pass as a PS5 game or anything, but
Right.
PS4 Pro, and that's just bumping the resolution and a mod to double the frame rate. That's it. They're not. There's no texture packs. There's nothing. I don't even think they have it in place where it boosts the draw distance or anything. It's just running the game at a high resolution at 60 FPS, and
Man, you saying that now? I mean, you make me want to play that bitch on the
it
Steam
looks
Deck.
absolutely great. I
I
don't
don't
know
know.
the Steam Deck.
I don't know if the deck will run it
Well, it
at
could
60
do
though.
800p, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But
It might. Okay, it might run it at 60 then.
and I'm just
Yeah.
like that's the game they made. That's what it probably actually looked like while they're making it on their dev kits and on their PCs. Like that's obviously they have to optimize it for the Switch. They did a great job. It's a great game. I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna have hundreds, at least 100. You know, it could be another 170. Xenoblade game for me. And at the same time, I just don't like that. My eyes have definitely gotten a little worse in the last couple years. I got reading glasses. I'm noticing, I'm having a little trouble. Things got to be right at the right distance to not see like double vision. But I'm 20/20 beyond. I don't know what 5-10 feet. Still good there, but if I get close, like if I get close to the screen, text starts to get double. Um, so it's just for me, any sharpness is better
Oh, so
because
you're farsighted.
well, one eye is the other one is one's
Mm,
far side, one's nearsighted, so it
mm.
sucks. I got to be
That's
close up for
wow.
my left eye to see, and I got to be far away from my right eye. So it's kind of sucks, but I just would like to you know just have a clear image. It only has to be 10. I'm not talking 4K, just a crisp 1080p locked resolution. I'm fine with the 30 FPS. I just would like it to look a little bit cleaner. That's all I'm saying. And I know Monolith Soft has the talent. Like I said a long time ago, or when
Well,
the second trailer for this game came out, I'm
his
like, just like Nintendo
their
Voice Chat.
debut.
Oh,
Because here's the thing. Because you were talking about, uh, you know, uh, obviously the Steam Deck wouldn't handle that resolution, but this bad boy will be able to do that.
what the hell
So I
is
bought this. This is
Steam Machine or something?
the Asus Republic of Gamers. This is a this is one of those computers that were like console form
Mm-hmm.
factors. This bitch right here has a 1080 Ti in it. Is that what they call it? 1080 Ti.
Yeah, that's pretty old though. But
That
that's
sounds
not
real.
bad.
But I'm saying I did some research and it will definitely do what I needed to do as far as having because I saw dudes running stuff at 4K
Yeah,
60 in
1080
it. So
Ti was the generation before the ray tracing
yeah,
cards.
right.
And it had like, I don't know, 11 gigs of RAM, video RAM, and
Which
so
yeah,
yeah,
she
it's
yeah, it's
definitely
11 gigs of RAM and video RAM in it. It's very capable. This one has a little Oculus. Remember the Oculus?
yeah.
Has a little Oculus ready thing on it, sticker on it. It's an i7. Um, so
That'll definitely
very
be an
capable.
upgrade over like a gaming laptop or that old PC used to have.
But I could just run. I'll completely bypass Windows and just run Steam OS on this bitch,
Mm-hmm.
and so it'll be my desktop, my desktop mode for my Steam Deck. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like because I'll just it's cloud saves. I just
Mm-hmm.
run from one console to the next. It's perfect. So
Yeah, I've been tempted to crack my Switch or whatever they call it so that I can get the game files. You can just
yeah,
use that to install or download to a SD card the actual games, the ROMs
yeah,
from Switch. Because I mean, I'm honestly, if I had the Steam Deck, for sure. I mean, because I've been playing in handheld mode more. It's way more comfortable from what everybody says, and I guarantee you it's going to look sharp. It looks pretty good, and I'll say on the Switch it does look pretty good in portable play. Way better than 2 did. So they focus more on the handheld version, and then when you put it on the TV, then it looks blurrier than. With 2, I felt like it was complete opposite. Going to handheld mode, it was so low res. I think it even dropped below 360p at times. It was really hard to read the text, and yeah, they won't even overclock. Well, it's not really overclocking. It's just running it at its clocks at its um, specified clock speeds. They're actually downclocking at 50%. So there's no reason the dock switch shouldn't run at full
I get
speeds.
it. Battery life, heat,
Yeah, for portable, but for dock,
right?
and that could. I mean, I'm not sure you're just going to get that out of a hacked switch, but if the developers had access to that and knew it, I think that's really probably all the Switch might need to have a game like Xenoblade just keep that resolution higher. Because when it's higher, it looks amazing, but then in certain battles it gets lower in some big environments, and it's just like, yeah, I would just wish that was a little sharper. That's all. Not a big deal. It's not stopped me from playing it. Still love, my characters that I'm going through this world with. So
Yeah,
other than
but I
that,
don't. From what I was just talking about, I don't think. I guess you can transfer the saves, but it it's not cloud saves when you're talking about emulation. So
no. See, I would have to. Maybe you can download the saves and apply them to
you
use
should
you.
be able to.
The hard part for me, or the hard part, the annoying part, is trying to find somebody who will give you the actual key to the emulator.
Yeah.
Nobody will do it on a video. They won't even really mention it. You have to go on
Can you blame them?
Reddit, and then you have to trust,
They
somebody.
ain't trying to go to jail.
So, but yeah, I guess fuck it. I already asked the Breath of the Wild question. What do you expect? 40 minutes direct. We already talked about some of the things. Will there be a new like major announcement, like a Metroid Dread? What was the last couple ones?
Well, the
Bigger news.
problem with me is that I'm tainted because I actually listen to all these stupid ass
Oh, do you?
rumors and
I
shit.
ignored
I,
all
I
of it.
mean, I don't do it on purpose, but I listen to people that talk about them from time to time. So I hear what's in the ether. Um,
Metroid Prime Trilogy
so,
HD.
but there's a lot of people that are certain, completely certain that F Zero is going to be there in some capacity,
Oh
and I'm
yeah.
like, fuck off. I'll believe it when I see it.
So Clocked
Um,
mentioned that earlier. Now he said he'd just be happy with an F Zero mainline, F Zero and HD, and I'm like, be a little careful what you wish for because you could
right.
get a bare bones ass shit online game that's not really what you want, just because it's called F Zero and it's in quote unquote HD. I mean, you gotta put quotes there because
Yeah, be careful with that shit.
it's at the point now where like even parts of Xenoblade, that doesn't look HD to me. Like I know it goes down to like 700 some or low 800 or high 700p resolution. That's technically back in the day was the basic HD, like where HD technically started, but they called 1080p the full HD. That's where, what I consider actual HD, and I agree with the term full HD, like especially on a TV. Um, so and I don't really count F Zero in HD for the first time if it's barely hitting 720. Like I'm hoping it's a full, clean, crisp looking image, and
Well, I would
not.
guess it'd be 1080. If you come in at
But if you're
720,
putting 64 cart like racers on screen, I could easily see that dropping. If they try to get
bro,
too.
we had, well, obviously the resolution was, what was it, 480p. But if we can't do that today when we had 60 frames 20 years ago almost. Come on. Like,
I mean,
what are we doing here? What are we doing?
it depends on how much they put into the actual like details on the tracks and the carts,
Well,
or
that's the thing. I
vehicles.
don't, I don't think Nintendo will put, because that's what they did with F Zero X on N64. Their emphasis was on 60 frames, so they compromised, with the visuals on the racers and all that. The textures were pretty basic.
I never even. I've seen footage of that. I've never played F Zero X.
You've never played F Zero X? What the fuck?
I've seen some, but let me pop up a
Like,
video.
that's why it's still so accessible to me to play today, because it's
And
60
N64 games
frames
didn't
and
have.
64.
They had some pretty low res. I forget.
They barely ran 30. So you're talking about 60 frames.
I watched that Game
John
Historian
Gibbs will
video, and
put
he
us on
talked
shaky.
about. Or was it Game Historian? Somebody was talking about the N64 and like the early games didn't even reach your CRT's like max resolution. They were like half resolution, and then some other games finally started hitting your actual CRT TVs like max resolution. And I forget, he covered, whoever it was covered more than just N64, and they were talking about that, and I was like, that's interesting. I didn't know. You just assumed back then that they were just running at the damn your TV's resolution, but no, there was games that ran at like half scale on one of the axes,
Mm-hmm. They
and
do bordering and shit.
so they've been like this. That's true N64 menu there for the race, the vehicle selection. But yeah, this, I mean, 60 is impressive, but this wasn't for N64 games. This wasn't doing anything. There was other games doing way more visually. But
Yeah,
yeah,
but they weren't doing 60.
no, not even close. They'd be lucky to do 30 at times.
Right. And then you move on again. You move on to GX, and the visuals definitely
That
jumped
was
up.
a huge leap. I mean, that GameCube over N64, I think, was almost Super Nintendo to N64. I mean, it wasn't bigger. It was probably less, but it was still pretty comparable of a leap. Because like this, yeah, this is above like Star Fox on the Super Nintendo, but it's
Is
not.
it?
Well, just looking
I
at the
think.
vehicle, there's actual like a sheen and shine to
Okay. Yeah.
the Blue Falcon. Looks 3D, looks like it has some reflections and stuff. But yeah, this is pretty basic. I guess I didn't realize it was
Yeah.
this basic looking. But yeah, smooth. Really smooth. So that's what I'm
Pretty sure
saying.
it's
As much as
locked.
I know people hate this, the Switch is just, it's not the machine to be doing 1080p 60 fps and bringing some like games to HD for the first time. It's not the system I want to see a 3D Metroid game in HD for the first time. Personally, I want to see
Yeah.
more like, whoops, I typed N6 or F0 GX N64. I want to get actual GameCube footage because this game always impressed me. It just was so freaking hard, and I didn't enjoy the story cutscenes. I didn't
You
like
didn't
that.
enjoy the kooky.
I didn't like that Sega effect, man.
Yeah.
And I didn't even really think about it in those terms back then. I just remember thinking, man, what is with these stupid cutscenes? Like, they're so random. So, bottom line in the chat, if Nintendo put a F-Zero game on the Switch, do you think it would be like a true HD F-Zero? Would your expectations be like it's going to be an impressive HD F-Zero game at 60 FPS? I'm sure it'll be, play great, and I guarantee it's going to be 60. I'm just wondering if it's going to be like, wow, that's running on the Switch type of thing. Because you're right. I mean, this looks pretty damn good. Just that menu on GameCube.
Yeah.
This looks like a Dreamcast like cinematic quality almost. That little opening shot.
I doubt. I have a thought and I just lost it.
Yeah, this looks really fucking good. Like, just put this in HD.
It's not going to be 30 frames, Muhammad. Get it out here. Nintendo would not.
Yeah, they definitely got to do more with the backgrounds and stuff. But if you just like make a really crisp looking F-Zero game at 60 FPS on Switch and have some, you don't have to push all the modern
nice
features. Effect. This is an old ass video before YouTube even had HD, so it's hard to say. This was 9 years old. This video, so. But I mean, this is a good look. It's a good looking game.
Yeah. It's got nice effects, obviously blazing speeds,
and that's the thing. The GameCube was a beast power wise.
Yeah, it was a beast. So,
and Nintendo used to show everyone else how to push the hardware. Obviously, they designed the hardware, but with the Switch, it doesn't feel like it feels like Mario, the new Mario plus Rabbids. That feels like Ubisoft's pushing the Switch more than Nintendo, almost more than Nintendo. Yeah. That looks like Switch Pro rumors going to come back up when I saw that recent trailer.
It looks really nice.
I'm like, holy shit!
The camera angle that they're using is less isometric. Is that the right word?
Yeah. Well,
it's more kind of behind.
It's not as isometric. That'd be.
Yeah, not as isometric.
It's more.
And the character models just look fucking beautiful. They look clean.
I know something not like this, but if they could get a 3D Mario game running at 60 that looked like that would be quite the leap, I think, over Odyssey. Because this is like, I mean, it's not full on Pixar, but this shit's clean, man. Let me get to the actual gameplay.
DreamWorks. It's better than like Hotel Transylvania and shit.
Disclaimer: I watched this on my phone initially, so seeing it on my computer monitor, it's definitely less as impressive as as my phone. My phone has a really bright screen, and my monitor that I have it on is not that great. So
it's noticeably better looking than the first one.
Yeah, but I'm seeing. I probably talked it up a little too high based on just on the phone, but still, like, if this was a 3D Mario game running at 60, like, yeah, this camera perspective here, we'd be like, dang, like, Nintendo really knows how to program for the Switch. Like, this is impressive, but again, it's using more cel shaded kind of textures on the ground and in the background, so they're using smart choices to achieve. But like this scene right here, like that shit looks amazing. But I don't remember what the point was. But
more detail.
Oh, we're talking about F-Zero. That's how
F-Zero.
this started. I mean, I've never been a huge F-Zero fan. Doesn't mean I'm not pushing for it for all the fans out there of the series. I hope it happens, and I hope it's good. Like, for your guys' sake. Like, I'm not gonna probably get it, but I hope they really.
You're not gonna get a new first-party game from Nintendo.
I bought only one. I bought GX. I played Game Boy Advance ones. I played the Super NES original, and just they never did anything.
I remember being blown away by that one.
Never did anything for me, man. I just never.
Like, how are these graphics capable? How is this possible? I remember just being blown away by.
I just never liked the super tight, like 90-degree and beyond, like 120-degree turns. It just never was my type of racing game. Like I always preferred the more I don't want to say arcadey because I don't. It's not. I don't like. I don't love just the true arcade racing. I like the, like I said, the San Francisco Rush type games. I loved like a Forza Horizons, like the perfect blend of physics based and still, you're not.
Donnie Arts just reminded me of what I was going to say.
Oh
It
yeah,
was Fast Racing Neo.
that's
I was
true.
like, that's a good barometer as far as what you're going to get or what you could have as far as
That's
backgrounds
true.
and tracks and whatnot. So
That's a good one to look at because I haven't seen that game in a while. To get a kind of
I
get a
haven't
reference
played it
point.
in at least over a year.
I will say, what the fuck? Fix. I'm typing, replying to a comment, and it underlined I spelled something wrong, and I right clicked for it to give me the right spelling, and it's like open image in new tab. No, fix it. Fix the spelling, goddammit.
You squint, Muhammad, when you play Switch?
Sometimes.
Why are you squinting? Too blurry?
It helps with my left eye actually, because I have a stigmatism, I think, where it's. I have to squint, and it does help make the stuff more clear. But anyway, he's probably talking about how blurry it is, Mister Xbox. Was it Xbox guy, Muhammad? Was that who said it?
Xbox. Yeah. The goddamn Xbox.
My eyes did get fatigued after about a 4-hour session on Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
Well, fucking 4 hours staring at little screens. I don't do that.
But it doesn't help when it's a blurry image and my eyes are trying to focus constantly. I didn't have that problem with Horizon at all. So,
yeah, do 4-hour sessions with the 3DS. See how that shit goes.
Yeah. Oh, one thing we didn't touch upon was Splatoon 3 sold like 3.5 million in 2 days in Japan.
That's insane.
And I'm like,
Japanese love their Splatoon.
They knew no matter what they put out, not saying they didn't put out a quality product, but they knew what they put out was going to sell in Japan. I think normally we wouldn't have got a Splatoon 2 Splatoons on the same console, but I just think they knew it was just going to sell big. So why not, I just wish they would have just done more new and less bringing.
It's an improvement in every way except for the maps.
It's funny because, I don't watch Digital Foundry honestly, they don't do a lot of comparison videos unless it's like an interesting comparison at this point.
Yeah.
They're not doing Series X versus PS5. Well, they have one guy who does for a few like major third-party games. They hired a different guy to do that stuff. But John Lenneman, I didn't realize he liked Splatoon, and he did. And I might have mentioned this last week. I can't remember. Cat, get the fuck out of here! Jesus Christ. He's like, yeah, this feels like the true sequel to Splatoon 1. Like this feels like a true sequel. 2 was a nice step, but this feels like the true sequel. And it's funny because we were saying that. I don't know how influenced he would be by other people, but I kind of felt like, yeah, that's kind of what I've been saying. That's why I call it Splatoon 2.5. I actually jokingly called it Splatoon 2 a few times in the chat because I feel like this is what Splatoon 2 should have been. I think this would have been a nice. It still feels a little samey, but having Salmon Run would have been new, and having it be like fully fleshed out 24/7 mode.
There's no reason to fucking lock Salmon Run.
And now you can skip the intro where it tells you the maps. What maps?
It only took 2 games to get to that.
Like seriously, like you can literally skip it in an instant in your bypass. You don't have to speed through it. You just skip it. I don't want to see it. I don't care.
Why did it take that long? I'm glad they done it, but why did it take this long?
Because
for them to realize nobody wants to.
Have you seen the dude who always talks about Splatoon? The dude always comes out in costume. He won't break character. The dude is just like, it seems like to me like he was dead set
Weirdo.
on building this world the way they had it, and didn't really want to listen to feedback until they had more time, and I'm sure there was just enough outcry. They didn't change the map rotation thing. It's still 2 maps every 2 hours.
That's insane. That to me is insane.
And I don't know how many custom classes you can have, and if you can switch based on the map before the match started. So I know you get a window where you can back out now, but once that time window closes, then you're stuck in the lobby to the point where you're in an endless loop lobby. I know this happened in Splatoon 2 where it says 30 seconds, counts down, gets to 1, and then jumps up to 100 seconds. Or another 80 or another 60. That happens in Splatoon 3, and the only way is to close the game and reboot it. You can't get out any other way.
It's crazy.
And it's 2022, an online shooter, and you have a busted lobby that just won't find enough players, and you have to close the game in order to get out. Like that shit like that. Like that's just unbelievable to me. But anyway, the direct, I don't really. You said you read some rumors and stuff. I haven't heard anything leak wise. I mean, you got the usual.
I'm sure you've heard these before. So
people have said it before, but the Metroid Prime trilogy HD, the Wind Waker,
Wind Waker.
They're not going to do a double pack. Are you fucking kidding me? They're going to pick one and they're going to release it for $60.
Right, Wind Waker double pack. We just got Skyward Sword for $60. What the fuck are you talking about?
There's no way you're getting a double pack. No fucking way. That's just crazy to me.
It makes no sense. From the precedent they've set themselves, it makes no sense for them to give you a double pack.
Now, if you want to just use rational logic, so Nintendo's been on like a 7-8 year streak where some form of Zelda game has released every year, then yeah, I would make a guess. But this late, are they going to announce Wind Waker? I guess they could because they did the 3D All-Stars like a month in advance. They could announce a Wind Waker HD Switch port and have it come out in October, you know,
and do the FOMO thing where it's only going to be on stores shelves for a couple months and it's gone. And they'll sell 10 million copies just by doing that shit.
It worked. I mean, it worked with All Stars. You can still find it in stores.
Yep,
that's crazy.
Buy that bitch online for $40 now. Because everybody went out and bought a bunch of copies, hoping to flip them bitches. And now they're just sitting on a bunch of copies because get rid of them now.
Yeah, other than that, man, I mean,
if you wait 20 years. Yeah, that's mostly what I've heard. I also heard rumblings of a 3D Donkey Kong again. But man, I mean, come on.
That would be nice.
It would be great.
The 3D Mario team making a 3D fucking Donkey Kong, that'd be great.
I just don't have faith in that, but that would be great.
They gotta have something more than, you know, next year's gotta have some games. I mean, they had a great year of games this year. I mean, when it's all said and done, it's gonna be the best year since 2017. I think you can't even debate it. Like, it's from first and third party and just exclusives. There's no debate.
You got Persona coming. Yeah. They can just keep trucking along, putting out late ports, and then one major game, maybe two.
If they truly think if this system's going to get them to 2024, 2025, they got to have it at least this next year has to be a banger year again. There's no excuse for not having another full fledged of games, exclusives, third-party exclusives, whether they're timed or not. It should just be, you know, Square's going to have 3 more RPGs, and there's going to be some more late third-party ports. Nintendo's going to have, you know, games of varying budgets from what was a lower tier, like Nintendo Switch Sports type of game, Mario Strikers type of game, to your Scarlet Violets and your...
Hey, they better do something, because the weirdest thing, and it's not me indoctrinating my, because people will say that, my kids the weirdest thing happened. Well, first of all, they barely play their Switches anymore. They barely play them. I don't know why I'm paying for online for them because they barely touch it. But my daughter asked me the other day if I would buy her an Xbox, and I'm like, God, God,
Really?
what?
What do they have on there she wants to play? Something in
I have
particular?
no idea. I didn't really ask her. She just said she wanted an Xbox. And I'm like, what? Where is this coming from? You know,
Well,
people will say it's coming from me, but she doesn't. She don't see me playing video games ever, really.
my niece only wanted a Switch because of Animal Crossing and Stardew Valley. That's the only games she cares about. She don't care about anything else. She's like 13, 12, and
Mm-hmm.
she's never even hooked it up to the TV. It's never been docked once. And it's her it's her farming simulator. It's her farming game and her life simulator game. Like, that's all it is for her. Now, she's not like a gamer usually, but
Yeah.
no, that's what it is. And if there's no other Animal Crossing, no other game like that coming out from Nintendo, then they'll
Yeah.
she'll
My
probably.
son, all he cares about is when his Breath of the Wild 2 coming. That's all he wants to play. He doesn't care about anything else that Nintendo's putting out. Um, you know, I feel like I'm failing as a father that he doesn't play more Nintendo stuff.
Fortnite's still on there.
But he don't. They're bored with that. They're over Fortnite.
So crazy, man.
And the thing about I think that's one of the things is that, Fortnite is different because it does have voice chat,
Mm-hmm.
native. But I think that's one of the reasons because they like to chit chat and blah 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 with their friends while they're playing games. And if you don't make it easy, they want to play on something else. And I think my daughter, I think I know that because I said this a few years ago, when I was teaching and stuff. I was like, these kids are all on Xbox. They're all asking me to play Fortnite with them, and they all have Xboxes, and I just think that's growing. I think at least elementary level, they're starting to play more
My
on Xbox.
my 60-year-old supervisor used to play what Call of Duty? Maybe Black Ops 2. He bought a 360 and he used to game all the time. He's got a Switch. He was given for Christmas from his stepson. And he started getting into Luigi's Mansion 3 and then he just stopped. Just like that. He stopped. He doesn't even turn the Switch on. It's literally brand new red box Switch, never gets touched, What's up, Cray? And he just asked me the other day, saw the trailer for Modern Warfare 2. Man, I might have to get an Xbox One. I said, Xbox One? Like, what the fuck, dude? Well, was there another one? I was like, yeah, get the Series S. Like,
I'm talking to
he ain't gonna
non-gamers.
buy that. He ain't gonna play. He sucked at the game. He just got caught up in the fad, 10 years ago,
Yeah.
whatever, 6, 7 years ago. And yeah, Series X or Series S for him would be perfect. Just gonna download Call. Well, actually, it might not be because Call of Duty's so freaking big. It might not. I know with all the updates, if he does the Warzone, it ain't gonna fit on the Series S without external.
That's what I would get my daughter. I'd get her a Series S.
Point is,
She still wants one.
That's what I would recommend for someone like him. Like Switch doesn't offer Call of Duty. If it had Call of Duty, he would have bought Call of Duty. He might be using a Switch right now. So.
Yeah.
Anyway,
well, that's going to change next year when Microsoft owns them because they want to put Call of Duty on Switch. That's what they say.
Really? That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's one of the upsides of them getting Activision.
We'll see. We'll see what that would. The Switch is capable of.
Yeah, the Switch is. The Wii fucking had Call of Duty. Yeah. Okay, like.
It just sucks to you don't have the motion controls to really fall back on, so then you're just getting a lesser version, 30 FPS, low res Call of Duty. But
you got gyro.
Shout outs to God, I forget who's been playing Overwatch on the Switch as I've been playing Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition and now 3.
Oh yeah,
I
keep seeing everybody playing it.
I think Jay Gruz or somebody. I see him quite often.
JC.
I don't know if it is him. I forget who it is. Somebody has been playing a lot of Overwatch on Switch, and I'm like, well, props to you. Props to you for playing the under 30 FPS version of the game. If you're going against PC gamers and stuff, you're at a big disadvantage, but it is what it is. So
But if that's your console, that's your console.
other than that, man, I can't even try to think of what Nintendo might do. Like Ayers brought up, it'll be 6 years since Odyssey came out. Is that the longest gap between 3D Mario games or not? I feel like it has. I think 6 years has to be close to the longest. Um, let's go through it. So when did Mario 64 was at 96? Then Sunshine was 2002. So that was 6 years. Maybe not full six. Maybe it was like 5.5. And then Galaxy was 2007. So that was 5. Galaxy 2 was a couple years later, 2010. And then 3D World was
10.
2013. So
But can you count Galaxy 2? Because it's almost like a Majora's Mask situation.
still, I mean, I count it.
Well, I mean, you got it. I mean, it is a.
It's a
it is its
full.
own
It
game.
wasn't some kind
Yeah.
of shrunken down, lesser.
No.
Still had tons of even more content. I think more levels.
Because they made Galaxy 1 and they had all that shit left over.
Mhm.
It was like, we got a lot of ideas here.
So that was 3. Then it was 4 years, and now it's been 6. So yeah, there's precedent for. I mean, this year's just too packed. Next year, if they could have a 3D Mario game done right now, and I'd still wouldn't. If I was them,
Yeah,
I still
we
wouldn't
know they've
release
been
it till
working on
next
one,
year.
right?
I'd release it next March or something.
That was official, right? They were working on one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't put it past them to have it done or near done, and not we don't even know it exists, and it won't come out till late next year. So
I wouldn't mind a Donkey Kong. I wouldn't mind a Donkey Kong in the vein of like a 3D Donkey Kong, in the vein of like, this is not crazy 3D,
like
in the
Kirby.
vein of Wario World on GameCube,
Hmm.
where it was like there's 3D sections, 3D segments, but it was mostly like a 2.5D.
What about like a Kirby 3D, like Kirby in the Forgotten Land, but for Donkey
I would
Kong?
want it to be exactly like Kirby in the Forgotten Land. I wouldn't want like a full on. I don't think I'd want a full on 3D like Mario Odyssey type of game for Donkey Kong. I don't think that works for Donkey Kong. I mean, we only had one, which was Mario or Donkey Kong 64. Which honestly, the problem with Donkey Kong 64 was just too much shit.
Mm-hmm. But I
It
think
wasn't a bad game. It was just too much shit thrown at us.
I think if you do that same kind of, I mean, not all Kirby's like isometric. The Forgotten Land, it feels like sometimes you're behind Kirby, other times from the videos I've seen gameplay. I didn't play.
Oh, you haven't played it?
I played the demo, but I think Donkey Kong could work because then you can kind of bring the 2D kind of level design into 3D, give it a different perspective, and then have more like dedicated 3D stuff, and maybe switch to 2D.
Well, they did that a bit in even in Donkey Kong 64, where you had the vine swinging. Even though it was 3D, it felt like a 2D section.
No, not like Ukulele Retro Death. We want a really good game that's not a collectathon. Like it's not a Banjo Kazooie.
No, that's the problem. That's the problem with Ukulele. Is that this is the same problem that was in Donkey Kong 64
Mm-hmm.
and Banjo Tooie. It was just excess, just too much shit, and it didn't make sense. The best 3D games have you explore the world, and you find stuff pertinent to that exploration. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
I forgot. I was watching a video and it was talking about like Banjo, basically talking about Banjo Kazooie and why it worked so much better than Tooie, was where like finding the little leaves, all the little power up stuff. You would find a trail of that shit, and then you'd find something else at the end of the trail. But in like Tooie and like a DK64, stuff was just thrown out.
They're
all
just
over the place.
It's almost
But
like
no,
they're.
it was random.
It's
right.
like here's the level, here's items. Put the items in places for people to find. Like
right.
that's kind of how I feel. A lot of the Kirby games I played kind of feel like it's like you get through the level. Well, let's just hide the whatever the collecting item is in that particular game. Let's hide this over here. So you got to float all the way over here just and find it. That's all you're gonna find. There's nothing else to gain from going over there.
There's nothing leading you there. There's no like kind of cool little secret thing. Like when you're playing Odyssey and you're like, can I go up there? Can I get there? I don't think I'm supposed to be up here. And then you find like hidden coins. It's like, oh, they thought about me actually being able to get up here, and then they left me something for making the trip, And that's like,
Oh,
that's the kind of stuff you don't see, or you didn't see, in like Tui, and
mm-hmm.
it's
And I
just
just
excess. It's just, oh, let's make it bigger and make it, you know, for no
yeah,
good reason.
and that's why that turned me off to why I never bought Donkey Kong 64 because reviews started coming out and I was like, oh man, that's disappointing as hell. Like that's not the kind of game I like. So I did forget about a game in the 3D Mario team history, and that came out last year. Bowser's
Oh,
Fury.
that was a
Um,
scary.
that's how much that game means to me. That was I don't think a fully open 3D Mario game works if they go by that formula. Um, to answer
Odd
Air's
game.
question.
What an odd add-on to
So T, you weren't
3D
part of
World.
this discussion. You haven't played it. I've played it. Robert's played it. We're the only two. I was making the point that the game isn't worth $40 by itself based on my experience, and of course the length of time came up, and people hate when I associate a game's price with the amount of content. But my argument was if you can 100% the game in 5 to 6 hours, and it's the type of game, in my opinion, the replay value just isn't the same as it is in other games. It's just because each of the individual little island areas, you have to do the same like 5 things in each area. So times that by 5 or whatever, and then the plusy ones that are kind of littered throughout. Redoing all that, there's no more exploration to it. It's more of a, oh, I gotta go get this key. I know where it is now. I gotta get the key and drop down, open the cage to get the what do they call them, cat shine. Like once I know how to do that, there's really no joy for me in doing it again because I already know where it is now. Like I don't have to look
Right.
to find it. I know where it is. So I'm just repeating the same task I already know. There's they kind of took out the fun gameplay of just jumping around as Mario. I mean, that's still in there when I'm just running around in the cat suit Mario and appreciating the 3D camera. But when I'm actually doing something, I was like, all right, so that is 5 to 6 hours to 100% a 3D Mario game. Now, I'm sure people can do some of the games quicker, but that's like on a first run. And I don't know how long it took me to beat Mario 64, but I guarantee you it was well over that. My other point was the fact that only Robert and I felt it was worth buying it at this point, a year plus later, tells me people don't think it's worth $40 because it's been $40 multiple times with 3D World included. So the fact that no one else has felt compelled to buy it at $40 when it's gone down tells me that, and that's with 3D World, that tells me it's not worth 40 by itself. I mean, that's just how I looked at it. Um, so I think it's $20 game. Put it in a retail package, physical maybe 30, but it's just, I mean, to buy that game by itself and pay $40, and I mean without the 3D World aspect, I can't even imagine paying $40 for just that game, booting that up, and that's all you have is that game. You play it 5 hours later, you're done. I just personally, as a 3D Mario game, judging it against all the other 3D Mario games, to me that is just not even close to the right price for that game. So
Well, uh, case in point, I still don't have it. Like, I'm one of the
exactly,
biggest Mario fans on the planet.
and it's been $44.99. You can get it on eBay. That was down.
Right.
I've seen it for $39.99.
And I'm just not compelled. And
Exact that
I bought all kinds of bullshit. If you watch me on
that was
Twitter.
my main that was my
Yeah.
main point. I was like, Robert, you don't get it. I'm saying the fact that no one else is willing to pay 40 for it tells you that it's not worth 40 to everybody in the group, everybody else in the group.
Yeah.
Because if it was, you get 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, You know, if that's not
The
worth
problem is 3D World means nothing to me
it does, but
because I already have it
and I don't really
on
care
Wii
for
U.
the changes they made.
The improvements I don't really care for. So
It's if for 40 with 3D World, then to me it's like, all right, I don't have the physical version of 3D World, so to me it was an extra little incentive. But
yeah.
still, I haven't touched the game since. I'll probably never touch it again. I don't feel the need to go
So if you
back through
want to
it.
play 3D World, what would you do? Play it on Wii U?
If I had my Wii U still hooked up, since I don't, I'd probably at least boot up. I'd probably play a few levels on the Switch just as is.
Yeah.
But anyway, counting that as a new 3D Mario game's tough one for me. It feels like an experiment. It feels like DLC that never released for 3D World. Um,
That's
and
what I was gonna say.
I don't
DLC.
I don't think they could make a full game out of that concept. You could have one
Which
world.
is weird because everybody was praising it as being the next evolution of 3D
Well, if you
Mario.
take out
So,
Bowser, I could
mhm.
see that. I could see it being fun to have all this stuff in this open area and going and messing around with. Take out the Fury Bowser, who was just an annoyance after like 2 hours in.
See, that's one of my biggest, um, uh, what do you call it? One of the biggest reasons I wasn't like super hyped because I'm like, that's gonna annoy me after a while.
It
Like that's
is.
cool the first couple of times, but I'm gonna be annoyed by Bowser
And here's the
after a
thing:
while.
you like, I'm about to get a cat shine, and then it starts raining. And I was
Oh
like,
fuck.
oh wait, let me just stand here for 20 seconds. Soon as you get the cutscene, you skip it, you get the cat shine, and then it goes away. That's all you need to do. I did that.
Oh my god.
It's just it's he comes every 30 seconds, minute and a half. It pops up all the time, and you don't have to
30
fight him.
seconds?
There's times where I didn't count it. I would say, but I did try to I did try to catch it. It was just over 30 because I couldn't capture him leaving till him showing up again in the 30-second clip you get. It's like 29 seconds. I missed it by like 5 seconds. So it was like 35 seconds. That didn't happen every time, but it was like, oh, well, he's just an annoyance. I don't have to chase him. I don't have to fight him. I think story wise, you have to fight him a couple times. If you fight him, then it's like, it's just, it's almost a waste of time because he just comes right back a minute later. So you might as well just get a cat shine and not fight him. So
I will say it is I'm glad it exists
yeah, I'm
because
not.
that means Nintendo. No, I don't. I'm I'm going for a different angle here. That means Nintendo is still willing to do just off the wall,
Mm-hmm.
crazy things like that. Um, Somebody was still experimenting with that game somewhere in a closet office, and they were like, "Hey, look what I've been doing," and it's just like, "All right, let's put that shit out."
Yeah.
That to me, that's cool. I like the fact that
Yeah, I'm
they
not. I
would still be able to
find
do
adding
that.
that to a port makes that way more acceptable than just putting out a Tropical Freeze port and charging $10 more, than it
Yeah,
originally was.
that's well,
Just
yeah.
putting out Pikmin 3 and changing, they mixed up they took out some levels and added like that, especially when you can't play it the best way with the fucking Wii remote and nunchuck. Like, I would rather them do that whether I love it or not. It's still way better than just a straight port for $60. Um, which reminds me of another topic, something Clocked It and I were talking about today, and I was, I'm just being the poking the bear, hitting the bee's nest. I said, well,
Doing your juice
Splatoon
thing.
3 sales. I'm a little concerned that Nintendo might see those sales and say, well, Mario Kart 9, let's just put Mario Kart 8 in it and then add, some new tracks and some new carts and a couple characters and we're good. And we got on this discussion. No one thinks that's going to happen, including me. I would be pissed if the Mario Kart 9 was just Mario Kart 8 plus some new stuff. But it got me thinking, and I said, you know what? At this point, by the time Mario Kart 8, the deluxe DLC comes out, there'll pretty much be almost every frickin' track in HD, if you will. I was like, I really don't need next Mario Kart game to even have retro tracks. We've had so many retro tracks now.
Yeah.
unless they have some really cool gimmick and they can mix them up like the anti-gravity, you got something that can really change. I really don't want to be racing on old tracks anymore. Make that DLC if you will, but I'd almost rather just have, what is it, 10, 8 or 10 new brand new cups, all new tracks
So you're
versus.
saying you wouldn't be down for Mario Kart 8 plus Bowser's Fury Road?
Well, that, but then I just started talking in general. Mario Kart
Yeah.
9 doing the same formula. You have the top, what is it, 4 cups be new tracks, and the lower 4 cups or 6, whatever it is, be all retro tracks. They've been doing that since Double Dash, or well, they kind of did it obviously in Super Circuit. They included the entire original game unlocked after you did, forget what you had to do, and then I think it was Double Dash started doing the retro tracks. And at this point, I said I'm just kind of over paying full price to replay and re-experience old stuff in games, and I'd almost just rather have all new tracks and get rid of the retro tracks, because we've seen all these tracks already look amazing and play amazing in Mario Kart 8 for however many years. That
Yeah.
was my take. I don't know what. I'm not saying I wouldn't buy it if it had retro tracks, but that's kind of where I was at.
The less the better.
Yeah, you have like one retro cup or something.
Yeah, because we always have it. We've had it since what, 64?
I think it was Double Dash
Or was it double? Yeah, it was Double Dash when they
where they
started
kind
that.
of split it.
So
Because by the
yeah.
time the DLC's out, there's most of the tracks are gonna be on Mario Kart 8. If you count the original retro tracks in Mario Kart 8 plus
Mhm.
all the DLC for Deluxe, you're gonna have a good chunk of the old tracks now in
If you
HD
want to go
on.
back and remake stuff, like
I don't know, like unless like take the original like Ghost Ghost House, was it Ghost House 1 or 2 I loved in the original.
mm.
Like that was a great track and I loved it, but just having a flat track, it's cool and all,
That's what I'm
but
saying. I don't want it just to be a flat track. I want them to actually like rework it
yeah, make it
or
brand
do
new.
something.
Call it that,
Hmm.
but just call it Ghost
Right.
House 3 or 4, whatever they're up to. You don't have to try to remake the original. Don't pull a
Well, yeah,
Sonic.
because they demake the N64 tracks. The moon, what was it? The Rainbow Road.
Yeah.
That was, to me, that was a downgrade from
Mhm.
original. So
Yeah, but that in Mario Kart 8, seeing Mario
they did
Kart,
some new things with it too. So
yeah, but I think the wow factor of seeing some of those tracks in HD, seeing Mario Kart in amazing clarity, with all the little details, that was great. And
yeah,
if they had just done that and then and we already had Mario Kart 9, not a problem. But just talk about all this DLC we're getting that I'm not getting, but that's coming out. We're getting all these old tracks. There's
I was
some new
excited
ones.
at first, but I still haven't even bought it. So. I was
Honestly,
like, it's still Mario Kart 8 though, so yeah.
yeah, I mean, not everything in zero G, but the only reason those tracks were flat was because the N60 or Super Nintendo couldn't do. It was Mode 7. It had to be flat. They couldn't do hills and stuff,
Right.
so everything was flat. I'm not saying
Okay.
flat tracks are terrible. I'm just saying at this point, I've played a lot of those old flat tracks and all the ones that are coming on the DLC, and it's like, all right, let's
And
just.
they just don't translate to a 3D game as well. That's understandable to me. It's like, well, you're bringing flat tracks that were fine for the systems and the games they were on before, but you're putting them into Mario Kart 8, visuals, and that's just
Yeah,
not
I
that
can't
appealing.
even. I mean, I played the Rainbow Road, Super NES Rainbow Road, and Mario Kart 8 DLC, like the original DLC, a
Hmm.
ton. But if I think about it, I envision the original Super NES version. I can't picture the Mario Kart 8 version of that track.
Can't even see it.
I still see the original. Same with like I would say the Donut Plains one in Mario Kart 8 with they added the little bit of water. That to me almost felt more like a new track, just because it's an actual full environment. It's not just a
Yeah.
floating 3D thing. So other than that, Yeah, I got nothing. Sorry guys, I got nothing else to talk about the direct. I guess we can react. We'll react to it next week. State of play. I don't get excited for those. I watch them and then I'll be like, yeah, that was
Does,
decent, or
does
that
anybody?
sucked.
I mean,
I thought the last couple were pretty good as far as for state of play, but
yeah, they're good for state of plays. Yeah.
I actually like the last state of play better than the last direct, but I was one of the only ones.
Is that the partner one that was the last one?
Was it that one? I judged it against one that was really close. It was the state of play where they released Resident Evil 4 and then announced all the free stuff for Resident Evil 7, all the PS5 free updates and some other stuff. And I was like, that
Yeah.
was solid. That's a solid little 15, 20-minute, whatever it was, presentation. It wasn't a PlayStation showcase where I would expect more Sony stuff. If they're going to do a
Yeah.
PlayStation showcase, you better bring it.
I was. I've just been thinking about recently, like because obviously I'm on my Steam Deck, and then um, I'm asking myself, is my Nintendo fandom waning? And I was like, it can't be, right? It can't possibly be. And I know what the problem is. The problem is the Switch is long in the tooth.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is very different for a Nintendo console. And to be thinking, oh, there's more years to come at this point. I'm used to, all right, fourth year, fifth year, the new. I'm getting excited about the new
Yeah, because
hardware
they announced it by now.
because
You know,
they
and
would
it'd
have
be out
announced
by
it.
now, pretty
It would
much.
be out the end of the year, right? So it's just like that. I think that's what it is. It's not. It's not. I'm losing my Nintendo fandom. It's just like I'm losing excitement because the Switch is long in the tooth
And
at this point. There's nothing they would have, like you said, announced something for me to be
mm-hmm.
excited about, and I could still be trucking along with my current console.
Well,
And
this goes back to
it's not happening right now, and I think that's the main thing.
were you part of the discussion within the last year or two where I said I think it was because Clocked it kind of challenged at least more than just me when I said he's like, why do you need a new system? Why aren't you just happy if they just keep putting games out on the Switch? And I made the point was I don't
No,
need three 3D Mario games on the same system. I don't need three Mario Kart games on the same or three Splatoons on the same system because there's only so much you can do. And I don't remember exactly the points I made, and I feel this way about Splatoon. Would you anybody want Splatoon 4 coming on the Switch if it's
oh
just gonna
god,
be the
you
same?
just saying it made me throw up in my
If it's
own.
just Splatoon 3's content, 5 new maps at start, a few new weapons, and a new single player. Like at some point, not just for graphics, you need new hardware so they can do new things. Look at Animal Crossing New Horizon. This was the point. If more people were here, I was gonna ask how many people have that as their favorite Animal Crossing game. And then I was gonna ask what can you do in that game that you can't do in other games. I feel like there's so much more stuff you can do. Some of it might just been they came up with some ideas, but I gotta feel a lot of it is finally there because what was the Wii had one. Most people didn't really hype that up too high, but going from 3DS to Switch, that's a huge leap. There's a lot of stuff they were able to add, and it might not be visual stuff. It might not be related to the processing power, but it could be the expanded storage the Switch has over a 3DS game. Like be able to go up to 16 gigs. Now they can put all this content in a game. Like it's not just the graphical output. It's everything else a new system brings to the table that they can do. Look at like I always bring up Mario Kart 8 over Mario Kart Wii. Yeah, the visuals were a big part of it, but it's not just the bump in resolution. It's
Yeah,
all the details going on in the tracks and you watch the boundary break on it. There's so much stuff for your eyes, like the eye candy, the effects, the locked, the amazing fluidity of the game. The controls feel the best. Like there's so much that goes
yeah.
into that game. I don't know how much that's
Well,
specifically the Wii U's power versus the Wii's power, but it just felt like a huge evolution of the game.
Well, I was thinking about even like, because I'm like, is this a new thing? Is this just me being, I can get anything I want nowadays, and then I'm just oversaturated with things. No, I was thinking about no, because I remember when Twilight Princess was announced for GameCube, everybody was excited for 20 minutes. Like it was like, yeah. And then after that show, the excitement for that game super died down, and most people were excited for the Wii
Mm-hmm.
and how it would play on that. And that's just a natural way of things. It's not natural, you know, to have a console with Game Boy's life cycle, the original Game Boy's life cycle. Like that's just, I don't know, I don't think that's gonna work. I just don't think it's gonna work
Yeah, I
because
mean,
you're putting
like,
yourself in a super disadvantage for the games that are coming out
and I
in the
gotta,
next 3 4 years.
I know what Clocked It would say. You gotta, there's still an opportunity for the 3D Mario team to have some really amazing idea
Of course.
for a 3D Mario game on Switch. I'm not saying that they can't, but what I'm saying is with new hardware, like I said, it expands possibilities beyond just, oh, we can put a better looking image on screen, you know.
It's not even about it. Like it will just be exciting to see that launch with new hardware. Like that's just
And I mean, and of course, everybody, whether they want to admit it or not, loves when a game looks amazing. Like if you're excited about a game and it looks amazing, you're gonna be even more excited. You know, like to see what I would hope be a pretty decent leap. Um, like a imagine Luigi's Mansion 3's fidelity and character models in a full 3D Mario game. That's all I'm asking for. I'm not asking for fucking uh, PS5 level visuals. I'm just saying take Luigi's Mansion 3's level of 1080p, great lighting, great character models, high polygon, like great looking characters. Put that in a 3D Mario game, 60 frames per second at that visual fidelity. That's all I'm asking for. That's not happening on Switch.
no.
So,
That would be exciting
and that'd
for
be great,
everybody.
you
There's
know.
nobody that wouldn't be excited by that.
Oh
So
my
stop.
God, that they are. It is Pixar now. It looks like Pixar. You know, people are gonna be excited. Now that doesn't mean I wouldn't be excited for some really creative, amazing trailer for a 3D Mario game coming on Switch next year. I mean,
I'm still gonna be happy to play it. I'm gonna jump right on it first
mm-hmm.
day. I'm a Mario fan. That's not those are two different
But
arguments we're
that's the.
making. There's
I
two
mean, in
different
my opinion,
discussions.
that's the best. That and the Zelda team are the best teams Nintendo has.
Yeah.
The rest of the teams, like, how many Mario parties do you need on the Switch? What's the next Mario Party? You're gonna be excited for the next Mario Party on Switch, having three of them now. You're gonna be excited for the next, let's say Hyrule Warriors or not Hyrule Warriors, Fire Emblem Warriors. They make a third one, or it's like at some point, it's just like it's kind of redundant. Um, you don't want like people aren't asking for Mario Tennis 2 to come to Switch, but if the next system comes out a few years later, they bring out a new Mario Tennis, they actually go a little further with it. Okay, that looks
Hmm.
cool. Um, Ayers, did you just not hear what I said? Like
You're not listening.
I,
You're just not.
I brought there's so many more things that new hardware can bring to the table. Um, just we don't even know what they could think of. And I want to talk about Danny. First time I've seen you in the chat, so I don't know. I don't know if I can trust you. He says that he loves Splatoon 20 hours in, but it's jank and a lot of bugs. Feels like it was somewhat rushed
Hmm.
or limited by the hardware. I haven't
I would say
seen
that's the first time I've
any
heard
report
that.
of bugs. It's his favorite Switch series. I was on this channel defending Splatoon nonstop, but it's the reality. It still has latency issues and doesn't work. Guns not shooting ink. All facts. I don't know. I can't. Like I said, I don't recognize the name. If you've been here a while ago, I'm terrible with names. And if
Me too.
but I can't just. I don't know. You could be a Nintendo hater. Just come here pretending to be, and and pooping on it. So I don't know. Let's see. Next console will definitely be a significant leap for them, even if it's a handheld. So much has changed between 2015, the X1, and 2020, whenever, if not just for more, but the tech and quality of life stuff. yeah, I mean, it's twofold. It's just exciting new hardware and stuff.
Hardware, new features, possibly, hopefully.
There's yeah,
There's
there's
that.
like we know this the Switch can do more because the hackers have showed what can be done with the amount of RAM. You can have interactive backgrounds, you can have custom themes, and still all the games play fine. So we know that it's that excuse people were saying, oh, it's just the system is only allocated a gig of RAM, so they can only do so much. That's proven false. And
Yeah,
you or somebody else called that out because I was trying to say that maybe the system can't do more, but yeah, it can.
I'm sure
Um,
it was probably me.
so that it's already been
That's
proven.
been debunked years ago. So,
But just I mean, this is a visual thing, but it doesn't really have to do with having more power. HDR on a HDR a good HDR TV, gaming in HDR, just the amount of the color depth, the difference between darks and brights, that completely changed like the Resident Evil 2 remake for me. Going from the non HDR to the HDR. It just having like this blinding light. Before it was just like a light gray, like now it's a looks like someone shining a flashlight in my eye, and it's like I have an actual reaction to seeing something like that. Like it's hard to that's a bad example probably, but just something like that that could really bring Nintendo's games to life, like Metroid Dread would just look phenomenal with HDR. Like that's something that the current hardware can't do because it doesn't have the proper HDMI support. So just something like that, you bring HDR into the mix, and then someone that has a TV like me, you get an extra benefit. Anybody that has an HDR TV, some people they don't believe in HDR.
see,
It doesn't add much for them, but for
what
me,
annoys me the most is that we say these things and we get so much flack for it, but yet you can run around Switch Pro, Switch Pro, Switch Pro for years, wanting that. So what? How is that okay for people to be all crazy about Switch Pro, and they get all the views and the likes in the world, but we say basically the same. Well, not even the same thing.
I'm talking
We're
about the
saying something
successor,
similar.
basically, the Switch successor at
Yeah,
this point. Um,
and we get all this backlash. I'm like, wait a minute, we're doing the same thing in a way. Like, like again, I just want new, exciting hardware. You can do something new and exciting to the Switch. Um, like I don't know, like I found excitement in, and this is back. I don't think they can do this today in '64, but the expansion pack, stuff like that excited me.
well, like
The
the Steam
the
Deck, for an example. What's something on the Steam Deck you're like, man, this is such a nice thing to have? Um,
it's so much. I mean,
ergonomics for one.
well, the ergonomics are great. Um, the cloud saves, I don't have to worry about that. Like that's so big for me. Like, and not having to pay for them. Um, I mean,
Customizing.
all the feature, all the yeah. I mean, it's so it's an open platform. So, I mean, I don't think the Switch could do anything like that because it is, it's a Nintendo console. It's
Hmm.
a console. It's a walled garden to an extent. So
Well, they
it can't
did
go
add
that far.
something. It's you have to catch it timed stuff in the Nintendo Switch Online where you can make your custom little icons based on the new games that come out. And I missed the Xenoblade one, so now I see all these people with awesome Xenoblade Chronicles 3 icons, and all I have
Yeah.
is Animal Crossing, uh, and what was the last one I just did? Like Kirby. I'm like, that should be like if you go to the default icons on the Switch. Now this doesn't need
Yeah.
new hardware for. Let's be clear to some people who are gonna hear what I'm saying and not. Oh, we don't need new hardware for that. I'm not saying that.
No.
Just let me give me an options more than just the basic shit that was almost there at launch. I think they've added a few generic options or generic. I'm not saying generic icons. Like let me customize it like they did, but make let's have every full access to that. Like that doesn't have to be a part of the Nintendo Switch Online. That's so
Right.
stupid.
Let me do what you let me do on the 3DS.
But
Like,
maybe
can
new
we?
hardware brings ideas like that. Maybe it doesn't. But
Yeah.
it's the whole concept of the Switch isn't exciting to you anymore. Hasn't been exciting to me in a long time. You know, it's nice during football season to be able to play off TV, have the game on, play some Xenoblade. You know, that's been there since the Wii U for me, and I like it. Um,
Yeah, but again, it lost a little that
that's
luster
not like I get excited
for
about.
me because of this thing. Like I, like so even the excitement of the off TV play, the be able to play anywhere, and like I get that, and I get really nice graphics and all that good stuff,
That's no
and
longer
all the
a.
cool features. So it's right.
It's
It,
not like a selling point. I guess I don't know what the word is. When you're so used to something at this point, it's not like it would suck to
it's no
lose
longer an
it.
ace in their hole.
But
Like
it's not like, oh my god, I can play this game in my hand. Like I'm used to it. Like it's just part of life. So like that's
it's only
not.
gonna get. It's only gonna. I don't know if worse is the right word. It's only gonna get harder because cell phones are catching up, and like Sony looks like they're going all in on mobile. I mean, they're licensing like controllers for your phone and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so this stuff, this niche that Nintendo has right now, that's what I've been saying. The Steam Deck is not competition for the Switch. I mean, it's not going to catch it. There's no
Mm-hmm.
way. But it could be competition for Switch too if they continue this form factor. So
Well, I
sitting
can.
around resting on your laurels and saying, "Oh well, nobody can." Like I saw a Trey video, and it was like, I think he titled it "Steam Deck is headed for the bargain bin," and I'm like, his justification was, well, all these other handhelds. I guess he's finally admitting that the Switch is a handheld. All these other handhelds fell to the Nintendo handheld. Like, but this is not nearly the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not nearly the same thing.
Well,
That all those other handhelds didn't have Valve's backing. They didn't have a already set up library of 5,000 goddamn games you can play on your Steam Deck at this point. Like, it didn't have all. They didn't. That was the problem with those handhelds. They didn't have the games. This thing has every console game that comes out. So other than like obviously but that's changing again. Xbox, you can play all your Xbox games on this bitch at this
you're
point.
talking about Sony.
Sony is putting all their
Look at this.
first
Look at
party
these
stuff
cell phone
on.
control. This is the Razer,
Yeah, it's
which,
crazy. I saw that. I was like,
and I have the Razer phone. It has 8 gigs of RAM. It has twice as much RAM as the Switch. This
I
one's just
mean, bruh,
this one's covering all of them, but yeah, at some point, I mean, the Switch basically without copyright infringing these, you can turn your cell phone into a pretty competent Switch. Um, Now it's not gonna have Nintendo games again. It seems like every time you talk about this, well, you
right.
can't play Nintendo games. If that's the only reason to own the Nintendo console, then that's a fine enough reason in my opinion. But that's not reason to
For the
discredit.
mainstream. That's not the
Yeah,
reason for the mainstream audience to own the
and don't
Nintendo console.
discredit stuff products that are doing something similar because not everybody cares about just the Nintendo games. If like it's got Destiny, I don't know if he's playing Destiny 2, but if they can play Call of Duty Warzone like that, that's a pretty comparable
That's
experience.
compelling.
Take your phone, you already have. Everybody's gonna have a phone anyway. You click this controller, and yeah, it's $100 controller, so that one's a little pricey.
And I know what the argument is. I don't want to play on my cell phone. Yeah, you're a core gamer. Most core gamers aren't going to play that way, but casuals will play this way. I said it. I, I say it all the time. When kids came to school, that's what they had. They had their cell phones and they had a freaking controller, and that's how they played. All those kids. Some kids brought switches, but a lot of kids,
I wonder if
tons of
this.
kids, were playing like what's that game where you try to find out who's the killer or
Oh, Among Us.
Among Us. They were all. I had a group in my class, and they were all playing Among Us on their cell phones. They do not care. They're not. They don't have
Mm-hmm.
that loyalty that we have. So
Yeah,
you,
like
you have to
imagine
adapt,
by the time the Switch 2 comes out, where cell phones gaming's gonna be.
right? And everybody has a cell phone.
So
That's all I'm saying. Like You can't sit there, and there's no need to be defensive about it. Like you, I want them to succeed. That's why I'm bringing these things up. They have to adapt. They can't just put out a Switch 2 that's just like the Switch and with better graphics and think it's going to be. No, I don't think that's going to be enough. Especially what 3-4 years from now, whatever they plan on putting out a new Switch. You
I
can't sit
mean,
around.
it'd be interesting to see because Nintendo and handhelds, it's like they print money, they sell million, hundred
Yeah,
million almost every time. So plus,
look how much money they're making in mobile.
we'll
They make,
see, we'll
they're
see.
making a lot of money.
Because I almost feel like they can't not do a Switch too.
No, they should. I want them to do a Switch 2, but I'm saying I want them to evolve it. It can't just be what it is now, with better graphics. You have to you have to come into a more, you know, what's the word I'm looking for?
I
A
don't
more
know.
modern setup.
I don't
I
know
don't
if
think
I
you'll be able
agree
to
with
get
that.
away.
I'm
I don't think you'll be able to get away with that in three
Yeah,
or
I
four
don't.
years.
I mean, I'm not gonna say it's gonna be another 100+ million,
Yeah.
but honestly, I was right before you said that. I was gonna say, what is so wrong with just releasing new hardware that obviously has more better graphics, but also just all the other enhancements that comes with new hardware. Like, as much as some to you might be included. Maybe they definitely overhyped the PS5's like solid state speed versus Xbox, but having a solid state drive, it's gonna be damn impossible to not have that anymore. Like, I mean, Switch is the closest thing I have, but that boots up pretty fast. Most games boot up fast. I can't imagine going back to Resident Evil 7 and waiting 2.5 minutes to start that to get back into my save file versus like
Yeah.
the 10 seconds of the new PS5 version. Like, I can't imagine going backwards for that in that
And that is a
aspect.
flaw of the Steam Deck. Like, it doesn't get you in as
Yeah, it
quick as
doesn't
a
load as
Switch does.
fast as it probably should. So like,
But they're constantly updating this thing, and it's already miles away from where it was when
yeah.
I first got it.
And here's another thing: people like just the act of recording gameplay,
Mm,
saving clips. It's so quick and seamless on PS, and I'm guessing Series X. I know they have the share button.
yeah, it
It's
doesn't look
so
as
quick
anything as
and
PS5.
seamless that it's ridiculous. Now, maybe if you're a person who doesn't take screenshots and doesn't record clips, that's fine. That means nothing to you. Just like having Netflix on my PS5 means nothing to me. But the fact that it's just so quick and easy, I can check, like, hit the home button. Everyone complained about, oh, you hit it, doesn't take you out of the game. Yeah, because it brings up a fucking menu overlay on your game, so you can quickly check a message someone just sent you, check your download status. You know, it doesn't need to zoom. People are so used to hitting the home button, taking you out of the game, and bringing up the crossbar menu that they were mad that on PS5 hitting the home button once only brought a pop-up menu. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't want to
See
have.
that?
Why?
See, you mentioned that, and that's the kind of stuff I don't even think about when I'm using my Steam Deck. It's like, oh yeah, I could just pop out of the game, go and buy a game. I can hop on the internet. I can do whatever and come back to my game without having to quit out of it. I mean, I don't think about it, but that's a cool thing you can do. You can't do that on Switch.
I mean,
You
I
can't.
could. When we were every once in a while, I'll see Retro Deaths on because I just seen him. I can take a screenshot. I can hit that. It pops up a menu. I can bring up our little group chat. I can quickly send a message, send a screenshot to them. I don't. The game doesn't have to close and then come back up. It's just it happens just like. Anybody old enough to remember Blu-rays versus when those first came out?
Mm,
And you hit the menu button and it popped up a menu while the movie played, and you could pick chapters, you could change the audio without having to stop the movie, go back to the main menu. It was fucking holy shit. Like, this is cool. And then when you don't have it, like if I put a DVD and I hit the menu button, I was like, shit, what? what audio format am I in? And I hit it and takes me out of the movie, goes to this animated menu system, and I gotta wait. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this is stupid. Why don't you just pop up on screen? Like,
Right.
it's just stuff like that that you don't think about. The
Mhm.
new hardware, a new Nintendo system gives you new experiences. I can stream. You can stream from PS5, Series X like nothing. Um, like I said, do a bunch of stuff in the background without getting out of your game. You can just quickly do stuff. There's stuff like that that just adds to the experience of using the system to the point where I prefer to turn my PlayStation 5 on versus my Switch. Like if I'm kind of teeter tottering between which game to play.
The Wii U did that.
Yeah. And
I can hop online if I needed a tip real quick and see if I can,
yeah,
and then go back
you
to the
could do
game.
that. I mean, PS4 screenshots aren't bad. It's just I can take the screenshot. I can hit that button again while the game's fucking running. It shows me the last screenshot. I can click on that and I can view like the last 15 screenshots while the game's still running. Like, and then it just overlays. And then I was like, oh, I like that one. Let me share that on Twitter real quick. Boom. Within seconds, it's done. Like, it's quality of life stuff. And that's just
Quality of life.
that's
Yeah,
part of it.
that's
The other
yeah.
part of it is giving developers these new tools. Like maybe they use it for adding a bunch of details, making the world more dense. Maybe you have a 3D Mario game that's so super dense with all kinds of like foliage and stuff. Actually, that can make a gameplay element out of adding that stuff. You know, maybe they don't. Maybe they just make the games look more dense. Maybe they make them look closer to like Pixar and like Luigi's Mansion 4 looks straight out of like looks like Toy Story 3 level Pixar, you know, quality. Like if that's all they do, you're telling me people won't be excited for that. If they don't add any new gameplay to Luigi's Mansion, you know, we got Guigi, maybe they'll do one little thing, but if it just looks like you're literally playing a fucking Pixar movie, like not the most current
Luigi, man.
Pixar, like that's gonna be enough for a lot of people, you know. But you put out Luigi's Mansion 4 on the Switch, it looks almost like pretty much the same game. It's this in you know the system's getting it's less exciting for people. Just look at the sales of late generation games. Look at how less they sell compared to the early generation games, you know. So there's so many angles to look at why having new, fresh, exciting hardware can just it helps what do you call
Uh,
put life back into your
that's another thing. Yeah, uh,
not
the
saying
games.
that there aren't millions of people who are just loving the Switch and they could go another
Of
5 years.
course,
Sure there's people
Breath of
out.
the Wild is going to sell very well.
I'm just
Breath
telling
of the
you
Wild
how, for me how I feel. And you know, by the time Breath of the Wild 2 comes out, if it's late 2023 and I play that game just like the end of the Wii U's life and then the next system came out in 2024, I'll just move on to the next system. That would be a good final like send off to the Switch. Like to have Breath of the Wild 2 kind of be its swan song, if that's what they ended up doing. So anyway, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
It's cooler outside, so my air hasn't kicked on. I don't have it on. It's really hot in here, so I'm dying. So I could get some fresh
Somehow
air.
we managed to last longer
Yeah, and
or
I'm
as
sure
long.
I'm just disconnected and reconnected. So yeah. Anyway, let's get out of here. Good talk. The Tea and Juice show. Um, so we'll see who shows up next week. We've got the Nintendo Direct to talk about. We'll see how they do. I'm the most critical of Nintendo Directs out of the group for sure. I'm a harsh critic at this point. And I'm just giving you,
Much
I give you guys my opinion. So if they show 30 minutes of games I could care less about,
30 minutes of RPGs.
then of course it's going to be lower rated than somebody who sees all the games they've been waiting for, like in all the like their favorite genre, you know, like obviously. But I just hope for new games, release dates. If you're going to show games, give us something. Don't give us gameplay. Give us, you know,
Oh
uh,
my God! Finally, Twiddle Me Elmo Adventure.
Look, it was so good. Maybe Silk Song. You know, Xbox showed Silk Song. Maybe Nintendo's gonna show.
I gave up on Silk Song, man.
You haven't played Hollow Knight, so I don't want to.
I know. I'm saying I gave up on them even showing that game at this
Robert's
point.
gonna give the direct a A for sure because it was a direct. That's almost guaranteed. So, yeah. With that, I'm gonna get out of here. Thanks you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. We'll see if Senseless Mind is gonna.